kapsiset kakiokiwapatin utiaski notekimiwan kutak okisigaw akami mo kawititin itos kutsita namoya kosta Towin ita mitsitsi makikwe matuin kaya kustatsi kutak ukisigaw
Egutego expimuniao yagagi matsmamaska toitomaski egutamana doctrine of discovery gip mai sigata gigomegi mamaska tsiguma eguta etegawi utnaske tsiguma egutamana egutoawa I'm hiwatik egitzimahatik
Egutaman no kumpura kage hetet upapa wa higutaige haya 1800s man magitoge itakunahsik aske ko egomagata pana Ipohit patawis sa homa, pawiste, ipotes timidzik, ipohayawan at James Roberts, kawapas bakapata. Search na maka, ipohan isko, ipotahage mahmuna. Mana ito tako, ipagawe, ubasta sigita.
As we look at the concept of history and education, you have to be able to look at the period of colonization that was starting to take place in the late 1700s and also the 1800s.
Egutegwen stammuniao gagipn tatago tetkin stonam egomep moap matogegap na nehioskam gauma intone gunhote nehiok skateamonegip mayatsegegwaste egimemiuitseto.
From a Cree viewpoint, you have to look at what the traditional educational system involved. There were 3 levels of it. There was the concept of Kiskinwahama, which meant that you were able to learn on your own. There was some self-teaching as you went about through observation, etc. So there was that aspect of education.
Gakyo nigi gumawgego wakumaganwa makip mo itsitasog o pegenawasun tegese.
Then there was a dimension where you learn from an elder, you learn from another adult or child or somebody who knows more than you in a particular situation, and that is called Kiskinwahama.
Ego mo tagiskinamage uno makiano megipngakskinamoa ke kunho tegagipeta tagute tsiguya danse desnanehiawe tsigoma mage go pagatsega meksesip nanagatita tsigomoa tsutsigakskate mawia egiwip mapatita magwa kumota ktaimunno. Pagatse I'm hiuino ep nanagatita tegotap nanehiawe toma egutego aptitsigan gip maya.
Lastly, on the Cree system, there was an interactive dimension, and it was called Kiskinwahama. That means when people teach each other. And it could mean elders learning from each other, or children learning from each other, or adults learning from each other. It could mean Europeans learning from Crees and Crees learning from Europeans. And in that sense, there was this overall concept of education.
Egutego expipiatika gip moawige, egutego antoniga gip mpaihotzigo gane hiaogo matagisa siga ata tsigoma, eguantoneguta su squat sigoma kayas ne hiaoxketamon giati wawanitano.
Goto nigipis tumana, goto drum. Goto ayun lega moawich. Mai wanat sikutaga nea negattago padre. Kasi go mai gotis man toat. Waka que no me tapo esta tan kaya ses na istopo Ikipoamitsikat sit nuajuokset mätsit.
Ai mi hawa no me Kiskinwahama atu no me gune huo time hiogam goniso egip mpapia statsik. Egu taminek taimo no egip ma patsita o mamantu masnaigan tapng Kiskinwahama agok.
Suumi sinu kivikit väät. Muitas kutsumme mi katsomaan. Mä oon siis spiemikin mä uittaksi, kun mä oon sakon näet, kun niin sinua.
So we've had all these settlements being formed vis-a-vis the fur trade, and a lot of people were interconnecting at that time. But we're seeing the first phase, therefore, the strength being from Aboriginal people, and now the strength is shifting to the European base. And so you're seeing that aspect taking place in the educational scene. You're seeing now French and English being taught.
Ego nigo gete tagip Kiskinwahama so Cumberland House mamutsun stampe kitsimatawa goma 1840 ego totse ego ta 1847 o te saktoaka giusita pegwaskaigan amachues pemoni 1850 ego totsa semine 1860 o te saktoaka gimatspaitsigetik.
Tohchi kopiiska ki nata tsiklen sisters tapi skuli uipin paihtaa uimusahki naatawassa. Kippa musahki niwawassa mihtietminä, kusik tohti konventka keatsik.
We're now entering the new treaty time. They hadn't bothered much with the north because of the treaties with agricultural development. They tended to do a lot of their treaties in the south. So they waited, for treaty making in the north.
Stumta no nyana no sapa skill me gip na no tita tsiguma tapntatagote tsigumota negitasik tipama tu no magais nan stoit tsigategoma uta Saskatchewan no. Egu tami next speed tipama tu nagakip mo sitauya egu mo Kiskinwahama soon education gip papitago epinga teoma magegutego mina egu no te government wegagiat mami tsiguma tapamnatsik ne hiawa egu tami nagagip ngakise tageguya mo imstahet tagip mamestin get government tapng Kiskinwahama atoge awasa.
It became policy and part of the Indian Act that the children had to go to school, and they had to, under pain of going to jail, for they were told, go to jail if you don't send your kids to school. Your everyday life was looked upon and decided by agents, But what took place in these schools was another matter.
When you look at the history, the first type of schools were the local schools or the day schools. And while a lot of First Nations people had wanted the day schools, meaning they wanted to be like every other parent anywhere, that they wanted to have their children close by when they went to school.
Ego text bigo meskun gan Little Pine Reserve ego a stand cut hand o mushu magi nak school go ne hoote kagiwip mo si tayo tumakskanama togame.
Ekse go ki mamo pio I see no ego mina I taken Mackay ki tawan John Alexander Mackay ko ni ki te pate. Ego ki mamo ki wi tamo makskanama to te tenga te. Tad me to aga tu na naga me ke mak. Em he no ke penata go as squat has. Den to e na no ta taksata go ta taksama. It deves. Eu estava aí sendo gargio o knapio. Me tanta gargio tamok. Baga bakaya wito na mo ito na mo mas coisas que casquita mag magai se que sinta o este na alto. Eu sato agi to teu. Eu te wi tamo alto wa. How? Kia ka te paheno ma kusto mato. Ki spend mi o pai ke ka ki na ma go na so ni how. The towers.
But as a time for colonization and racism was on the rise, you saw that a lot more of the preference, by government was the boarding school.
Te pagupum tanua skill me was pingakip mamasna mi wiego ne hote pamatuna ego utsto government ego ne hote gipum papagitna tsigo gawasak tapngakskna masu tsigo mote waskai gani oge was joge an hiokam go.
That churches made deals with the government. They got institutions. They were given the right to create institutions, to build buildings, to build churches, build residential schools to educate these children. With the exception that they have the right to to convert and Christianize those people, and those people's children they got into their churches.
Egotex pioma 1879 Davin report kipaktin ga to mamasnaigan egune o te apitogo sansak minawisto waoma egutamasnaigan gipmaitas naiga te owas sagomategiot ni tsigwigo osamute upmatsun wao megisagita tsigetega gipmo tsitsik.
Ayaga na asimo tsika yo kaya utna ayaga ni mig wapan me pega ne taite tsika utese wapan utagite ke gacha ko se tita hoga ni ma wigwam. Ego ni ayaga na asimo tsika wigwam kita mak mana kaga na ga gachi tipi. Ego mana ga masina ga tsika misigite ka ega usam ego si siawa sisoma ka kagisi matsi hita ego si migwa pigese. Ego simena tateni tage gone matai tit ego tautna chik ego tauche
Moats ego texpi awas saponi gigo mau tagito moats mo intagawaten toas miskanto kakskinama pogo tanto ai to tetsik.
Tapi po stapun papa tanto stapu tanagatigwa higota. Tai mesigia. Skole. Papa estamos que te van que pego que voy a trap lines. Ni to ni van ni nanut. Ni que hanan.
asa ki apat tamakagusis tamachut na chika was. The speak one again sinilate one again boarding schools. Asa ki apate na upas ki agete ka Henry Badago tepe ka usita 1841-42. Asa ki machi apate magute se atama na kita ka na miswa. Ute se wapano utagite ka.
Egwinigo ga residential schools gap mai tagik ntinisu squat sigitatsim matao metega kip mamitsete. Egute gomina gip ngaksinama sutzigawasak uta Saskatchewan no ntunetap ngakinopa tamimta tamtano askioma kegam ta tegunigo te residential schools egitsimata.
Maguto ni boarding schools aga tiusita chik apsis wana isketi taga nagane kaya stop mute o tansin no ta supeo te o tawasis ega kutaga tiusi chegate o mina industrial schools yaga nasi monani ho. Apitay no way Kiskinwahama tap ansin no apitay ni uminatos kete gusis.
In earnestly, it started out with the government, creating at the same time this whole idea of bringing a new idea to take the fur trade and to get these people back into being privy as part of the country's development, and the idea of creating industrial schools, where they would train these people to learn how to farm, animal husbandry, using machinery, and learning how to read the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, using those basic literary tools, and from there, becoming the labor force.
Biseg with the Giusi Tawak Sak Tawaget Tamok Pek Meskino.
A team of horses wound up and Diana and my machinery. Nice away, shovel and axes. Big trees, roads and knowledge, Kiskinwahama, 9 hours a day, here to here. But $6 you think a man must negans, no money, just a little note. He may got to scan it for that month.
Indian Department tegutek spigi pangkakise tamago matan siwis ma tuska takumawasak tapangkaksinama sutzik wiwa umamtinitzigan wak tetapampapitago nagik egwa kitsuasum sunogoma nehio mamtinitzigan namma tususkwats tagip moe pinagik.
Okay, main ma sugi ki mamitrinitam ina egipako atakis yoga gutautsi unigi gata antawasis.
Once the schools opened up, there was no participation on the part of the Aboriginal people. They didn't have no privy to what was going on inside those schools. Once their children were in there, they were sort of, told to stay away.
Ego matsun mawas sago gagip gagno pa takuma ntunim spitos. Ego mantinegwes gagip gaktimay gutsik.
Sab adwe hel hast sa hel inledis in asta horis and es hast sau kunt o ennebe hust hono such as it in delu that his und hono kunt o yaga downstairs in so cross and at because misil tini gnassen und dann ihr is in horin chalas und in nicht chili mesias und langen so.
Ego tego expimunia uia piska giat mamitse te toma ego nego ke te pamatu nega ki pe masnaha ki kickskate moga se une hiaun wow me wi wanitatsik.
Apumana se bet yaga yo wanige inigi se traffic lines mana gitut ya. Ego tene me sak ni Kiskinwahama aga wistonis ki se bet yo. Ende pagona chigo tsas ko sise. Ego mana yo ga gisita chigo sise ke god. Kapeo ching ba pagata ko sing Kiskinwahama guna nagmane ko de wino.
Tati me escuché pinigat tati gagistigat kitsansin ni no. Ego sise tati se mitsahak machis when tati me escuché pinigat egitit.
Meine ko sinis na gita migis yagota. Bapa mi saga mig musta sagia ego sise. Ego yo mane gi mas ko sigi yak.
Asego tagigak skate makmunya na pokotege sa takwegak skate agik.
When you go to learn English, doesn't matter what kind of job, you go to talk English. Truck driving, aircraft, anything like that. Drivers, you go to talk English. You can learn that in Cree.
Ego maaga Simon pogonehio takwegak skate ma ego tap to megip mowitamago ya mo te petsnawe.
Ego ke maagi nehio ke maagi pikspatik. Ego ke vihtabago. Keni gano ek pokta bemetsan ek dan se bematso hapskujas te goges. Pokta me wek stomatun te goyai.
1879, Emmanuel College giotenga teoma egutene hiowiti taso Kiskinwahama sutsik.
Towin gagi machita metanam sepitos. Usampo ko na pero gati tentane ke tayo chike hayatske. Kiskinwahama sutsik. Kamas ke go usampo ke to te so agayaso. Mayo wa te ni soski ke tikisita de go Gitsago nag opak tskarek teksto bagyan. Tahtoga di pengi tsago nananto. Hege mautos kea.
Mitseto go one Kiskinwahama gyogo meguteo megipim Kiskinwahama sutsik Emmanuel College. Egutego mina Northern Board ka giosita.
Ego speak this tamayo Northwest Territories and igisiga teo mota miswet agagi at Saskatchewan. 1892 agonistam public board ese gusicegate gotese kagi at sahisi siniga so pero tanapeo dosian asimi nakadot agonista board egi tag sechega ma Charlie Boss nots pumi nagi gato siga gota usam po hispanic Kiskinwahama o kaya miawen utstapo tate Kiskarita bragmi naganasi buwan Tagita sutan sino papi to sa gusisi tati Kiskinwahama agat era gusisi mira kagistiganyo.
Department of Indian Affairs and Northern Development kito agegutaw mamtinitsigan wow kiapits tagamato skatama.
People brought out the stories of what took place in those places. You know, the terrible agony that these children went through. There's some that even never came out of there. Some have died there. Many died there. And even some were probably murdered there.
Ako mana mistake ba mitre itamigo kansin niya not sketch wat Kiskinwahama tansin no minote taisit sa taut ni tsego gawas kiteo mistake mona mitne nagachisya monia nag mona mitne nagachisya kayo makapegi we tsego sisi kawi Kiskinwahama o mata tawaniga sige gache go sisi de machi che go si se ke anta tuta I mona na chi se na puanita o ya van stai mana ki se papi ke skotta ba go si se ansen ne
Pege kuta masnai gano magipin papaktin ga atyo may pangagnopa tamiyo ga Kiskinwahama to kamgo ego tantinigo go skwet tamogo ga igo kitsoasam sinog tanigo sigi gakti mahitsik
na antawet ke ego spiga ne ma kapampanita chego industrial schools ga boarding schools Ego speak naman. Ego tapegi siniga so Dr. Bryce kita. Ego si tate go speak 1907. Ego tete ni ma. Tato neo awasak animego sisigagi Kiskinwahama. Tato neo. Inuegi sa sugane mago itsegawa sige no miste egi panik mi na ego speak ay egi suito chegane mago sisi. Tato neo gagi no pat tama negosisi awa si sehat pek ego tauchi kinagatas.
Mondo ista kimsnan tagiagita sleeping sick itura. Igias kitichigan. Yung pitsik sa nindewa sa utatagan pa ako mabisag. Bedroom sigitas tiyan, yung bed. Yung pitsik sa ninawas. Umuwi tamago ya. Itmin pitsik. Peace. 25 igistas siya. Ang tutuwin niya ng punit mat siya.
Masnaiga niyo megi mamasnaiga tege gota industrial ego residential schools oge mpuun ego aksuun egi mo temaga.
When he said it was a national crime, it was indeed a national crime. And in that sense, you saw the first huge debate on the residential school era. And it took quite a bit of time. They tried to hide the report. As a matter of fact, Duncan Campbell Scott was around at that time on Indian Affairs. And guess what happened to Dr. Bryce? He only lasted under a couple of years and he got moved out of there by Duncan Campbell Scott. And it was in that light that you saw, the resistance internally within the federal government. That the report that they had with the denominational system, of schooling was still to be upheld. The respect for the culture, history, and language of Indigenous peoples in Canada and in Saskatchewan is not there yet.